Dave's Magnetic Vortex Generator Concept, DMV-GC1. Dave's Magnetic Vortex Generator Concept, DMV-GC1. Premise behind Dave's concept is 1. All matter in the universe has electric fields around them, and an electric current, velocity, produces a magnetic field perpendicular to it in accordance with the 4 basic laws of electromagnetism. 2. The stress-energy tensor, which is a tensor physical quantity that describes the density and flux of energy and momentum in spacetime. 3. Energy field, known as the inertial field, that interacts with the gravitational field in a manner similar to how the magnetic field interacts with the electric field. The inertial current cancels out the gravitational field through a process known as gravitational induction. The DMV-GC1 consists of a motor/generator arrangement, 6 energy generator, 6 capacitor plates, and a gyroscopic device that generates magnetic fields using spinning mass. There is an internal platform rotating in direct rotation and places several devices in counter-rotation with its axis fixed by bearings on this first platform. There are 6 counter-rotating devices, equally spaced along the perimeter of the internal platform, and are called energy generator. Each energy generator device is a unipolar generator with rotating metallic mercury inside it. Its dimensions, for a craft, can release in excess of energy and power. The regenerative energy generator is described as a device composed of an electrically isolating or conductor material with a biconic geometric shape that rotates inside a magnetic field. Its interior is hollow with a spherical shape, where the electrolyte is stored, so it is also called a battery. The battery of the energy generator, bicone with metallic electrolyte, is surrounded by a magnetic field produced by a biconical-shaped coil. As the coil rotates with the bicone, it must be energized through brushes placed at the apex of the upper and lower cones. When the platform rotates, the air pressure on the bicone blades sets it in free rotation within the magnetic field and, due to its circular movement, generates electricity. The coil is energized by the disk's central battery bank with pulsating DC current, and must be sized to produce a pulsating magnetic field of at least 1 Tesla. The coil used to produce the initial magnetic field on the energy generator's bicone does not have a ferromagnetic core. The surface density of the magnetic charge B equals μ0h must be sufficient to separate the electrons from the conducting layer of the metallic mercury inside the bicone. The separation of electric charges in the electrolyte occurs in the direction perpendicular to the applied magnetic field and to the rotation of the bicone, therefore the charges will be displaced to the edge of the bicone equator, creating a radial electric field perpendicular to the axis of rotation. The electric current is determined by the amount of electric charges calculated above and by the frequency of rotation of the electrolyte. The rotating magnetic fields of the energy generator displace electrostatic charges from the atmosphere and project them around the periphery, producing an electric current that also reinforces the original magnetic field. There are 6 capacitor plates that create a magnetic field on the central axis of the system. The metallic capacitor plates distributed in the perimeter of the internal platform accumulate electrostatic charges projected radially and change its atomic structure to become a superconductor. This makes it possible the magnetic buoyancy with the created magnetic field and the terrestrial magnetic field. This central rotating magnetic field collects the ions from the atmosphere and projects the negatively charged particles to the craft's periphery. Capacitor plates are bombarded by these negative electrostatic charges because they are on their path to the periphery and absorb them, becoming superconducting due to the structural change in their atoms. The same occurs with the outer surface that is in the projection direction of these particles. The superconducting characteristic of these plates increases the central magnetic field by more than 1,000 times, and the projection of particles also multiplies. In this way, the central magnetic field is amplified and allows the disk to float magnetically in the vertical component of the Earth's magnetic field. The capacitor plate system has the purpose of storing a high amount of electrical particles, using so-called atmospheric electricity. In working condition, the plates become ionized and have a corona-like effect with a very soft bluish-green luminescence. The luminescence observed is due to the projection of electrostatic charges and ions to the periphery of the craft, which ionizes the atmospheric air and, due to the low pressure of the ionized air, presents the corona effect, similar to that observed in evacuated tubes. There are 2 ways of absorbing electrostatic charges. One. Each of the 6 rotating energy generator produces a 45 degrees inclined magnetic field that deflects the electrostatic charges from the atmosphere and rotates them around their circumference, so these charges collide with the adjacent capacitor plates. 2. The central magnetic field produced in the form of a vortex deflects the electrostatic charges from the atmosphere and projects them from the center to the periphery of the craft. In this path, the charges collide with the capacitor plates. In this way, the capacitor plates in high rotation speed, having excess electric charges, behave like a high-intensity electric current, sufficient to create an intense vertical magnetic field on the craft axis that repulses the vertical component of the terrestrial magnetic field and allows the craft to float magnetically in the atmosphere. There is another external platform that rotates in counter-rotation, as opposed to the first platform, with 12 electromagnets that produce electrical energy during the passage of the energy generator in their air gaps, when the system works as a generator. The shape of the 12 electromagnets fixed on the external structure of the hull is similar to a horseshoe, or also, like the seat cores of transformers. A coil of enameled copper wire is wound around the central leg of each core, and the energy generators pass through the core air gap, which, because of their magnetic fields, induce an electric potential in the electromagnetic coils. When the energy generator pass in the air gap of the core, there is a sinusoidal variation in the surface density of the magnetic charge of the core that induces an electric potential inversely proportional to the time of this variation, magnetic induction. The electric potential induced in each coil will be proportional to the number of coil turns. Each energy generator that passes through the air gap of the ferromagnetic core induces an electric potential in the coil, so the frequency of the sine wave will be multiplied by the number of energy generators that pass through the core. The mass of the external platform in rotation may be used to give gyroscopic propulsion, and to neutralize the weight with mass rotation. The DMV-GC1 works by spinning gadget parts to generate magnetic fields. Its basic energy generator device is a Faraday's disk application that has been geometrically altered to operate as an energy generator and magnetic propulsion device. The central energy of the project, that starts the opposed rotation of 2 platforms, is a set of batteries housed inside the stationary device that function as a motor/generator and produces an intense magnetic field in the center of the craft. Switching the electromagnets also allows the energy regeneration of the batteries when the system reaches a minimum rotation that allows the rotor, where the energy generators are, and the stator, where the electromagnets are, to function as a generator. One of the functions of energy generator devices and electromagnets is to make the system work like a motor, where the rotor and stator, armature, rotate in opposite rotation freely. When an object is in high rotation, it is possible to overcome the planet's gravitational force, and we performed calculations that allow quantifying this phenomenon, known as the gyroscopic effect. If the external platform rotates at high speed, it can help neutralize the weight of the discoid craft, considering that the inertial current is the square of the speed, and this induces a gravitational potential. The equations are: when we put an axially symmetrical body, cylinder like a gyroscope or disc, rotating about its axis, all parts are at the same angular velocity, and we must calculate the linear velocity by an equation that has already been presented, considering it has constant mass density. With a cylinder or disc with an internal radius of the disc R1 is almost equal to 0 and 2 equals Vg, lose all its weight, and external radius R2 equals 0.5 m, it will levitate when its rotation reach. In rotations by minute, RPM, this corresponds to: with 214,000 rotations by minute, it is possible to neutralize the Earth gravitational potential in the surface of the planet and make this disk levitate. This is the Earth escape angular velocity for this disk. Augmenting the rotation, the disk will lift up. But in real cases, there are stationary parts of the equipment that are not in rotation, and this excess of gravitational charge must be compensated, increasing the disk rotation. So, the equation to use is for gravitational, potential, energy Ug, and it must consider the 2 types of gravitational charge, total charge of the equipment Qg and the charge of the rotating disk Qg. In the surface of the Earth equator we may use the gravitational potential Vg already calculated. In other cases we must consider the new radius. As an application example, let's rotate a disk with external radius R2 equals 1.5 m, internal radius R1 is almost equal to 0 m, disk gravitational charge Qg equals 5 kg and total gravitational charge Qg equals 10 kg. To neutralize 100% of total gravitational charge we have